All right, welcome back, everybody. So, Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane sent out a message reminding the executive and senior officials in provincial administration that cooperating with her office is not optional, but a constitutional imperative. Mkhwebane warned that failure to respond to questions and information requests could lead to serious consequences. According to the Public Protector, efforts by investigators from her office to get information related to COVID-19 on procurement processes of goods and services have been met with some degree of resistance by certain government officials, including members of the executive and the heads of department. The Eastern Cape's scooter tender, a bed and breakfast used for quarantine in the same province, are just a few cases currently under investigation. Public Protector Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane joins us to discuss this issue further. Public Protector, thank you for your time. Thanks very much for being with us.
Good morning, Leanne. Good morning to the viewers and those who are listening.
Now, I just gave two examples of cases that you're currently investigating, but it's the resistance that seems to be the problem. What exactly has the resistance been, or what kind of resistance has your office been running into in the PPE-related investigations?
I had a meeting with the provincial representatives of the Public Protector, meaning public protectors in the various provinces, since they are the ones who are conducting the investigations, and they informed me, some of them, that they receive pushbacks from some of the HODs and some of the MECs, because their reasoning is that they've given the information to the SIU or Auditor General South Africa, which surely they wouldn't have given originals, but we are also expecting to receive copies of those documents because normally when we investigate, we will request documents from the affected departments, and we work with them, Leanne, in the process of resolving the allegations.
I mean, they've also been saying that some of the reasons provided is saying that such information has already been provided to other forums, such as the Special Investigative Unit, the Office of the Auditor General. Do you not work with them? Are you able to get that information from them?
Leanne, even though I work with the two institutions, and we also are in communication with some members of the Fusion Center, our mandate are totally different. And remember, the Constitution obligates the MECs, everyone actually, to assist the Public Protector. In fact, all Chapter 9 institutions. Therefore, why should we be referred to other institutions when we are conducting the investigation? And our mandate is totally different from the SIU and the Auditor General. So I think we made it clear in our media statement that issuing remedial actions, and that's the only mandate the Public Protector is having, and that mandate is to address any systemic issues, and can be utilized as a reference to any HOD, any MEC, any minister, when you are occupying the position, or when you'd want to make sure that you've got governance in your department or in your ministry.
Yes, certainly. And I know that you have issued a very, very stern warning to those that do not want to help and assist your office in these investigations. In fact, I think you've gone as far as to say that your office will be issuing subpoenas as a way of expediting these investigations. Have you done so as yet? Any subpoenas issued?
Yes, we've started issuing some subpoenas, and I've insisted to the team that they should also be informing various departments, that those who are cooperating, that it's not because they are not cooperating, but we just want to expedite the investigation, because the Public Protector Act is clear that the Public Protector can determine how to speed up the matter, how to investigate a matter depending on the circumstances of each case. And this, Leanne, we are also doing this for the benefit of those who are implicated or those who have been alleged to have committed this horrendous act. So for us to finalize matters expediently will assist both, but also will assist government, because you wouldn't want to see the same people who are being accused or the same people who've committed this corruption to still continue to be in the system. So we would want to assist them to root out those who are not supposed to be in the system.
Let's focus in on one of the stories that you are going to be investigating. And of course, the Eastern Cape is one of those provinces that you're struggling to get information from. And this is regarding, in particular, that controversial scooter tender and also this guest house saga. Can we zoom into those cases just a little bit? Let's start off with the scooter tender. How is your office actually dealing with this particular one?
Already the provincial representative in the Eastern Cape, Mr. Busisiwe, has already written to the various implicated officials and also has received some of the information, but that's where also he was told that the information was availed to the Auditor General. And he has already also communicated with the responsible official who is allocated by the Auditor General to liaise with the Public Protector. But I think we are still insisting that we request documents from the department or the MEC of Health and the relevant HOD. So, and then the other one of the guest lodge, also we have made very serious progress in that matter. Or he has made serious progress because we have managed to get several information. But remember, Leanne, also besides us requesting information from the implicated officials or department, we also conduct our own investigation or request information from other sectors where we would have leads of any people who are implicated.
So the other case that's being investigated, another very high-profile case, of course, is the decor PPE tender. This is one of the biggest tender allegations that we know of so far, and I emphasize so far because, as you yourself say and many other institutions are saying, that there are a lot of investigations ongoing. But in terms of the decor investigation, is there any progress on this matter?
Not yet, Leanne. The matter will be conducted as own initiative investigation, and the accounting provincial representative, Ms. Manyatela, is still finalizing the collation of information so that she can prepare the preliminary letter to the affected individuals.
All right. Yesterday, we heard the Minister in the Presidency, Jackson Mthembu, promising to give the country's law enforcement agencies the necessary support they need. Your office has often spoken that they're not getting support. And I mean, this is exactly what you're alluding to right now as well in terms of support. Did you think of approaching his office? I mean, do you think that there could be some assistance coming your way in this kind of statement?
Unfortunately, Leanne, there's no promise of any assistance. The CEO, as the accounting officer, is engaging with National Treasury because remember we get our budget through the Department of Justice, but normally we would present our bid directly to Treasury. About the possibility of cutting our budget with up to around 20 million. And that's a concern because the Public Protector and the SIU are some of the institutions mentioned in the National Development Plan to assist in rooting out corruption, but also it's very clear the policy that they should be fully or properly funded. It's the challenge, Leanne, to operate with the budget which is minimal and also not having enough capacity to deal with the investigations. And I think the problem here is that the executive and public officials not seeing the benefit of working with the public protector and using that office for their own benefit, in the sense that this office is there to support and strengthen constitutional democracy. And it's a constitutional institution which assists them to deal with systemic challenges. So that's one issue which we will be taking up with the Department of Justice to assist us because normally our budget is appropriated through the Department of Justice, and also we will still motivate further with the National Treasury.
Yeah, just continuing on the corruption issue that is plaguing South Africa at the moment. I mean, we heard so much coming from the President yesterday during his Q&A session, responding to corruption allegations, talking to the fact that, it's not right and the state is doing all they can to try and eliminate the corruption. But, I mean, you and your office know very well that this is causing a lot of despondent South Africans, and they're feeling enraged as they feel that there is so much information before the country's law enforcement agencies and there's little or no outcome. And I really am just zooming into the PPE saga. In terms of caseload in PPE sagas, how many cases have you been asked to have a look at right now? How many people have approached you?
In the Eastern Cape, we've been approached by the EFF and the ATM to investigate the allegations. In the Gauteng, no department or no official, or in fact, no public or no political party has approached us, but then we are conducting an own initiative investigation. Same applies to Limpopo. We are conducting own initiative investigation. So we will be doing own initiative investigations, and where we are not approached, we cannot just sit around and wait for complaints because we don't have the resources. It's our responsibility to make sure that we assist and deal with this problem so that in future, if we have any other disaster, people can learn from the reports which we will be issuing. The difference with SIU and other law enforcement agencies is that they will only prosecute that individual. And again, in South Africa, and it's very few high-profile individuals, especially public servants, who have been prosecuted successfully for corruption. I mean, we only one or two, which I can remember, is the late Commissioner Silebi and the MEC block from the Northern Cape. So those are the only ones. So that is the intention of the office, to request the provincial public protectors also, when we engage, that it's their responsibility to identify these issues, to act speedily on these issues so that we can change whatever repetition or whoever is in the system should be dealt with immediately, unlike us delaying to finalize such cases.
Yeah. There was a comment that you made recently. It was during an address at a lecture organized by the Nelson Mandela Bay University, where you said SA corruption is not a crime against humanity, basically quoting the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court's list of offences perpetuated by the state against civilians. So in the context of the scale and levels of corruption in South Africa, would you recommend that corruption be legislated as a crime against humanity? I mean, one could argue that with regard to the lack of PPE, this could lead to the death, of a lot of people. We've seen a lot of health workers succumbing to COVID-19 related illnesses due to a lack of PPEs.
Leanne, that address was purely intending to educate the students and engage with them on what the legal framework is providing for. Because that statute is very clear that those crimes should, be crimes which are legislated in the sense that it should be the policy of the state, to commit that particular crime. In South Africa, corruption is not the policy of the state. We have the National Development Plan, which is the policy of the state, which would want to deal with corruption. So when I was taking them through the wrong statute, I was clearly showing them that crime should be something which is perpetuated by the state, similar to xenophobia, because people will be saying people are xenophobic, but then, South Africans are xenophobic. South Africa has no policy which says we hate a foreigner. So you won't say that is the proper term to utilize. And for me, I would say, just talking and saying this is a crime against humanity, it has an implication on the country, because we've acceded to the Convention on the UN Convention on Corruption. We have various legislative provisions dealing with prevention and combating corruption. We've got your asset forfeiture unit, which also would be assisting in combating or as well forfeit assets which were acquired through that process. Yes, currently the issue of the PPEs, it's like committing murder. For me, possibly the ideal term we can use is like genocide, because policies are there to deal with this. Is the issue of implementation, and is the issue of those who are committing these horrendous acts to be dealt with. So I think, some mainstream media, when they would be quoting the headlines that I'm saying is not a crime against humanity, I wouldn't be irresponsible and just mention the term without taking the students through the definitions of the Rome statutes, and whether, as well, asking them, when we have such a definition, do you think it qualifies for us to name it or to address it as a crime against humanity? Yes, when we talk morally, so we can say that is a crime against humanity. But then at the end of the day, we know that corruption has killed a number of people, has impacted the poor, the marginalized so badly, because there's millions which are being utilized and for nothing. And if you check the money which has been expended there as well, maybe then we can say, was it proper for the National Department of Health or the NCC to decide that we will procure the PPEs and supply them the way they have procured them, or they should have done things differently? Speedily. That we manufacture the PPEs within the country and setting up systems to do that. Unlike spending up to, one company being awarded a tender for more than 500 million to provide those. It's a waste, because those are utilized. You cannot reuse those. You use and you throw away. But then if you manufacture internally, that was going to be cheaper. And also, if we could have utilized that money properly. Our health system is a mess. Our education, or some of the schools, the infrastructure is also a challenge. That money could have been used properly, but I think we are here now. We would want to give solutions on how going forward we shouldn't repeat this, but whoever has done it, let them be out of the system. Indeed. Because beat people like that.
And they need to be held accountable, and that's where we hope
Definitely.
that findings will come through from you. Just a short answer, because I think I got lost along your explanation, which of course was talking to both morals and talking to what the Rome Statute says. But in your view, especially in the office that you're in, and especially seeing the kind of cases that you're investigating, I just ask you again in terms of the comment, would you recommend that corruption be legislated as a crime against humanity? Your opinion, your view, do you think it should?
And as a legally qualified person, you know, we will have to make sure that if we say it's a corruption, it's a crime against humanity, unless we're saying that within the South African context, we label that it's a crime against humanity. Yes, I agree. And not taking it from what the definition of the Rome Statute is saying. But then as South Africa, we then legislate it, because we do have the legislation, remember, dealing with the prevention and prevention and prosecution of all corrupt activities in the country. So amending that legislation, making sure that the definition and the penalty to any person who's committed that offense is very high. I think definitely we will have to do that.
I think so. I mean,
corruption is so grievous, and as an institution, we take it very seriously. And I mean, we visit provinces, we engage with people who've lost hope, people who are poor, who are marginalized, who don't have anything. Then you hear that millions have been spent on, or there's a wasteful expenditure on such consumables, and we should have changed the lives of those people. So I think it's so grievous. Yes, I agree.
Public Protector, I need to leave it there for this morning, but thank you very, very much for coming on and giving us a little bit of background to some of the cases that you're investigating, and also talking about crimes against humanity and whether or not what is being committed right now is in fact that. Busisiwe Mkhwebane, government officials also needing to cooperate with PPE investigations rather than being resistant, and that's something that she's very, very concerned about. Warrants already issued on that one. All right, let's take a